Very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Dr. Nalin Rodrigo Oration 2023, conducted by the Sri Lanka College of Obstetrician and Gynecologists. And we witness the procession and moving on with the agenda. Next is the lighting of the oil lamp traditionally. With great pleasure, I invite the President of the College, Professor Hemantha Dodampahala, the senior most past president of the college, Dr. G.A. Ranatunga, Dr. Mrs. Shemoon Marleen, our orator today and the chairperson of Scientific Activities and Research, Sri Lanka College of Obstetrician and Gynecologists, Secretary of the college, Dr. Chandana Jayasundara, and also Mr. A.H.M. Fauzi, former Minister of Petroleum and Petroleum Resources, the Director of Sri Jayawardena General Hospital, Dr. Ratnasiri Hewage, the Deputy Director of Sri Jayawardena General Hospital, Dr. Chandragupta Ranasinghe, and also the retired consultants from Sri Jayawardena General Hospital, consultant nephrologist Dr. Chula Hera, consultant surgeon Dr. Larita Pierisi, and also the first teachers of Dr. Shemoon Marleen, our orator, Professor Emeritus, Professor Prashantha Vijayasinghe, and also Dr. Neil Senaviratne. And also with great pleasure, I invite a family member of late Dr. J. Nalin Rodrigo to light the oil lamp traditionally. Ladies and gentlemen, please do remain standing for the national anthem of Sri Lanka. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to a momentous occasion of the memorial oration of late Dr. J. Nalin Rodrigo, predicting preterm birth, a crucial step towards improving twin outcomes. Now, with great pleasure, I invite the following dignitaries to take their place at the head table. The President of the Sri Lanka College of Obstetrician and Gynecologist, Professor Hemantha Dodampala, and to represent our patron, the senior most past president who is present here today, Dr. Ananda Ranatunga, our orator, Dr. Mrs. Shemoon Marleen, and the Honorary Secretary of the College, Dr. Chandana Jayasundara. And to officially welcome you to this memorial oration of 2023 of late Dr. J. Nalin Rodrigo, I cordially invite the President of the Sri Lanka College of Obstetrician and Gynecologist, Professor Hemantha Dodampala, and to follow up by reading the citation of our orator today, Dr. Shemoon Marleen.
Thank you, everyone. It's a great honor and pleasure to introduce Dr. Shemoon Marleen, one of our most dearest pet colleague in the council, and she has done quite a lot of work during my tenure. So I'm indeed privileged to read your citation, Shemoon. Dr. Shemoon Marleen, born on September 20th, 1977 in Colombo as the third child of Mr. Marleen, who is the President Council, and Fatima Marleen, who is a dedicated housewife. Her family includes two older sisters who are doctors practicing in London and Brisbane, and a younger sister taking a turn has become a computer engineer in San Francisco. Married to young, handsome Inas Sully, a businessman, she is a mother of two daughters, Elisa, 15 years old, and Liana, 12 years old. Shemoon studied at St. Bridget's Convent and in her early years and left the school when she was 15 years and taking privately her O-level exams a year ahead. She pursued her A-levels in India, went to study medicine in Manipal Academy of Higher Education. She excelled, obtaining her MBBS with first-class honors in year 2000, showcasing distinction in pathology, pharmacology, and microbiology. Her passion was obstetrics and gynecology that led to her to postgraduate education in PGIM, University of Colombo. She earned her MD obstetrics and gynecology in 2008 with prestigious Henry Nanakara Gold Medal for her outstanding performance in Part 2 examination. Shemoon's continued commitment learning is evident in her extensive list of qualifications. She obtained her membership from RCOG in 2019 and fellowship in 2015, and she secured a certificate of eligibility for specialist registration from GMC in UK. Her research pursuits culminated in an MD research degree from Queen Mary University of London in year 2023, that's this year. She also obtained a bachelor in endoscopy from European Society of Gynecological Endoscopy in 2019, diploma from Faculty of Sexual and Reproductive Healthcare UK 2011, and 3 advanced training skills from RCOG and Fetal Medicine Foundation in 2014, Maternal Medicine Advanced Labor Ward Practice in 2011. Shemoon holds specialist registration with both GMC and Sri Lanka Medical Council. In 2021, she honored as a Fellow of the Royal College of Obstetrician and Gynecologists and Fellow of Sri Lanka College of Obstetrician and Gynecologists. With career spanning 9 years as a board-certified consultant obstetrician gynecologist, she currently works as a consultant obstetrician gynecologist at the Sri Javadanapura General Hospital, Sri Lanka, a position she has held since April 2016. Her formative training in obs and gynae in Sri Lanka involved experiences at the Sri Javadanapura General Hospital, University of Obstetrics and Gynecology Unit at Galle, Ragama, as well as Disoisa Teaching Hospital for Women in Colombo. Working under the guidance of esteemed professionals such as Dr. D.N. Vijayaratna, Professor Malik Gunawardena, Dr. Neil Seneviratna, and Professor P.S. Vijay Singha. Her international exposure encompasses training in the UK, includes roles of Senior Clinical Fellow, Fetal Medicine at Fetal Medicine Unit, Royal London Hospital, UK for 3 years. Before this, she held the position of Senior Registrar and Specialist Registrar in Obs and Gynae at Royal London Hospital and Whipps Cross Hospital, London. Her clinical experience spans various aspects of general obs and gynae with special interest in fetal medicine. She has conducted 3 important fetal medicine workshops to the SLCOG sessions this time and the previous year. In the academics realm, Shemoon research focuses revolve around twin pregnancies and preterm birth, aligning with her expertise in the fetal medicine. Dr. Shemoon Marleen has publications in peer-reviewed journals, including British Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, European Journal in ONG, Human Reproductive Update, Ultrasound in Obs and Gynae, and Ceylon Medical Journal. She received the Sir Sabaratnam Arulkumaran Young Gynecologist Award in 2020 for presenting the best paper at SLCOG 53rd Annual Scientific Congress. Currently, she is serving as a chair of scientific activities and research in my council. Dr. Shemoon has demonstrated her commitment to professional development, and she was a council member of SLCOG and member of the Guideline Development Group since 2021. The evidence is seen in our website, how much she has contributed to our guidelines. In 2022 and 23, she contributed her expertise as a member of the Suffolk and NCD committee. Notably, she held the position of the Secretary of Sri Javadanapura General Hospital Clinical Society for 2 consecutive years, 2018 and 2019. Dr. Shemoon's education is evident through her role as an honorary senior lecturer at Sri Javadanapura University, actively engaged in clinical teaching, and she serves as an examiner for undergraduate medical students, as an MD, examiner for MD Obstetrics and Gynecology, and a postgraduate trainer. Her commitment to education extends while she was in UK, where she involved in clinical teaching, lecturing, and examining at the Barts and the London School of Medicine. As a resource person, Dr. Shemoon has organized and conducted numerous courses, workshops locally and in UK. She has been a key contributor to the developing guidelines and patient information leaflets at the SLCOG and a resource person for safe motherhood programs in Sri Lanka. In her leisure time, Dr. Shemoon finds a joy in real music, and she takes a pleasure of singing and playing both guitar and piano. Her passion of music extends to the world classic music, where she discovers a profound connection with timeless compositions. Beyond her contributions to Obs and Gynae, Dr. Shemoon is the director and co-founder of AAMH Humanitarian Organization, and encompasses an orphanage home located in Bandaragama, currently providing care for 50 orphans of free health clinic an educational and vocational institute, showing her commitment, making a positive impact beyond her medical field. So, like I said, I thank you for listening to her citation, and let's invite Dr. Shemoon Marleen to deliver her oration.
I cordially invite the President to present the orator's medal to our orator today. Over to you, ma'am.
President SLCOG, past presidents of the SLCOG, members of the SLCOG Council 2023, members of the college, professors in other specialities, consultants, my colleagues from Sri Jayawardhanapura General Hospital, family members of Dr. Nalin Rodrigo, invited guests, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is an immense honor to be here today as the orator for the Dr. Nalin Rodrigo Memorial Oration 2023. This oration holds great significance not just for me, but for all of us gathered here to celebrate the life, contributions, and legacy of the late Dr. Nalin Rodrigo. Before I deliver my oration, I would like to say a few words about the esteemed Dr. Rodrigo, in whose honor this oration is held. A man with a commanding presence, a towering figure, a stern expression, and piercing eyes. His impeccable attire complemented his aura of confidence, authority, and sheer brilliance. Born on 12th December 1928, he was none other than Dr. Nalin Rodrigo. Dr. Nalin Rodrigo hails from a lineage of distinguished figures. His illustrious great-grandfather, Sir Charles Henry de Soysa, generously gifted the de Soysa Maternity Hospital to the community in 1879. A towering monument to the late Sir Charles de Soysa graces the center of de Soysa Circus facing the Old Eye Hospital in Colombo. His father, Professor J.L.C. Rodrigo, read classics at Oxford University and later went on to become a professor of Western classics at the University of Ceylon. He was also a man of deep compassion and empathy. Inspired by his profound belief in the power of giving, Professor Rodrigo, along with his 6 brothers and close friends, established the Rodrigo Family Friend in Need Society. This philanthropic organization provided aid to families in distress, ensuring access to education for underprivileged children and engaging in various charitable endeavors. Dr. Rodrigo's academic journey began at the Royal College of Colombo, followed by his enrollment at the remarkable young age of 17 at the Colombo Medical College. His brilliance shone through as he qualified as a specialist at the age of 29, making him one of the youngest to achieve this distinction at the time. A pivotal event in Dr. Rodrigo's childhood not only steered his life's trajectory, but also kindled a deep-seated passion for medicine. At the age of 6, he endured a serious and accidental leg injury that necessitated multiple surgical interventions. This childhood experience ignited a spark within him that propelled him towards a career in medicine. Dr. Nalin Rodrigo completed his medical training in Sri Lanka, followed by the UK, where he achieved the prestigious membership of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists in the year 1958. His fellowship was awarded to him 15 years later in the year of 1973. Despite the allure of lucrative opportunities overseas, Dr. Nalin Rodrigo chose to follow his father's footsteps and devote his career to serving Sri Lanka. He worked a record-breaking 19 years of his career as a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist in the periphery, in some of the most rural and challenging areas of the country, before he was appointed to Castle Street Hospital, Colombo in 1977. Incidentally, he started his career at Castle Street Hospital as one of the first house officers after it was made a specialist man hospital in 1953. He also went on to complete his career at Castle Street Hospital, having served as a consultant for 11 years from 1977 until his retirement in December 1988. Dr. Nalin Rodrigo's commitment to education and his role as a mentor is a remarkable aspect of his legacy. He played a significant role in shaping the careers of numerous interns and more than 30 postgraduate trainees, some of whom have gone to become presidents of our college. He was described by one of his mentees, and I quote, "Once you came under the guidance of Dr. Nalin Rodrigo, you had a mentor, guardian, and a friend for life." His dedication, the dedication he showed to the field of obstetrics and gynecology extended beyond his clinical practice. Dr. Nalin Rodrigo served as the chairman of the Board of Study in Obstetrics and Gynecology at the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, University of Colombo. He also pioneered the double sponsorship program for postgraduate trainees of Sri Lanka, whereby trainees found opportunities in the UK with salaried employment. His extensive involvement in the Sri Lanka College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists reflects his dedication to advancing maternal health care. He served in various capacities in the SLCOG Council as a council member, editor, president, and patron. What makes his contribution even more notable is the fact that he remained the only council member to serve in the SLCOG until his demise. This speaks not only to his longevity in service, but also to the unique and enduring role he played within our organization. Among many other prestigious titles he held, he was also the chairman of Sri Jayawardenepura General Hospital. During his tenure as a chairman from years 1989 to 1994, the hospital underwent significant expansion by establishing specialized units to address areas where local expertise was lacking. These units included a renal unit, a diabetes and endocrinology unit, and he even facilitated scoliosis surgery within the hospital by obtaining expertise from foreign specialists. Dr. Nalin Rodrigo discovered enduring love and companionship in Chandrika, whom he met at a movie theater, I'm told, and threw paper balls to grab her attention. He was absolutely in awe of his wife, who supported him throughout his career. Together, they raised two remarkable children, namely Deshika and Avindra Rodrigo, whom he was extremely proud of. Apart from being a loving father to his children, he was a caring and inspiring grandfather to Tamara, Iran, Chalya, and Jana. His presence at their various endeavors was a source of unwavering support and encouragement. He was their constant cheerleader, always there to witness their triumphs and cheer them on. Dr. Rodrigo embraced his life as a joyful adventure, savoring every moment with enthusiasm and zest. His quick wit and knack for humor brought laughter to any situation. I was told that delivering after-dinner speeches was his forte. He had a collection of joke books from which he would meticulously select the next humorous tale. Dr. Nalin Rodrigo was passionate about patient care. His diagnostic acumen and surgical prowess were legendary, earning him the respect and admiration of patients from all walks of life. He played a pivotal role in reducing the high maternal death rate in Sri Lanka. Recognizing his profound impact, Dr. Reggie Pereira, Secretary of Health at the time, aptly referred to Dr. Rodrigo as the godfather of the quest to reduce maternal mortality and doyen of obstetricians. 17 years after Dr. Nalin Rodrigo's passing, we pause to reflect on his life and the lives of those he touched. His devoted wife and loving children have successfully navigated the challenges of his absence and have built their own fulfilling lives. Their achievements in their respective fields stand as a testament to the legacy of their illustrious father. His students have blossomed into esteemed professionals, carrying forward the values of compassion and excellence that he instilled in them. Their pioneering work serves as a silent tribute to their mentor's enduring impact. And now, in his honor, I present to you my oration titled Predicting Preterm Births, a Crucial Step Towards Improving Twin Outcomes. My oration will cover the following. Firstly, the definition of preterm birth and why is it a problem. Second, the problem of preterm birth specific to twin pregnancies. Then I will talk about the need for early prediction of preterm birth to enable interventions. And finally, I will present my research work, which includes 4 systematic reviews conducted in order to predict twin pregnancies that are at high risk of preterm birth. So what is preterm birth and why is it a problem? The World Health Organization defined preterm birth as any birth occurring before 37 completed weeks of gestation. And this is further subdivided into 3 groups: extremely preterm birth occurring less than 28 weeks, very preterm birth between 28 and 32 weeks, and moderate or late preterm birth occurring between 32 and less than 37 weeks. We can also divide preterm birth into spontaneous and iatrogenic preterm birth. Now, spontaneous preterm birth is when the onset of labor happens spontaneously before 37 weeks, whilst iatrogenic preterm birth is when the labor is induced or a cesarean section is performed before the onset of labor and before 37 weeks. Why is preterm birth an important problem? It is the single largest direct cause of neonatal deaths, and it is responsible for 35% of all neonatal deaths globally annually. It is also the second most common cause of under 5 deaths after pneumonia. And in Sri Lanka, this is no different. Some of the common short-term morbidities associated with preterm birth is up to 40% having bronchopulmonary dysplasia, necrotizing enterocolitis, neonatal jaundice, retinopathy of prematurity, and hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy. And among the long list of long-term complications, the risk of cerebral palsy is increased, which is inversely related to the period of gestation at birth. The risk of cognitive impairment and neurodevelopment coordination disorders and disorders of attention and activity also increased The risk of epilepsy in association with cerebral palsy or in isolation is also increased. And prematurely born infants also at higher risk of mortality during their young adulthood and chronic diseases later in life. So what is the problem of preterm birth specific to twin pregnancies? When we compare preterm birth rates between twin pregnancies, as given in orange, and singleton pregnancies, you can see that the prevalence of preterm birth by every gestational age up to 37 weeks is significantly higher for twins. 50% of twin pregnancies deliver before 37 weeks, and 10% deliver before 32 weeks gestation. In 1980, when we look at the global twinning rates, the natural twinning rates, as observed in this slide, in this figure on the right, was lowest in South America and East Asia, with highest twinning rates seen in Africa. However, 3 decades later, you will see that there is a rise in twinning rates. This is mainly due to medically assisted reproduction and delayed childbearing, and now twinning rates have increased in the wealthier parts of the world, with an increase in twinning rates, substantial increase in twinning rates in North America, Asia, and Europe. The twinning rates in Africa still remains the same. And for twins, the perinatal risks are significantly higher. Statistics from the UK, from the Embrace report, the key findings in 2020 showed that twin pregnancies are 3.5 times more likely to end up in a neonatal death compared to singleton pregnancies. And comparing twin death rates between 2016 to 2020 between singletons and twins, this gap between singleton and twin rates are becoming even more wider. I was able to get some data from Castle Street Hospital, which indicates again that the perinatal outcomes for IVF multiple pregnancies are significantly far worse than singletons. Therefore, timely interventions to reduce morbidity and mortality in preterm birth is important. And that takes me on to prediction of preterm birth in twin pregnancies. PeriPrem, which stands for Perinatal Excellence to Reduce Injury in Premature Birth, have recommended 11 key strategies to reduce the risk of prematurity-related injuries in newborns. Among these 11 strategies, 5 of them are related to antenatal and intrapartum care. The antenatal interventions that have improved neonatal outcomes include timely referral to a place of birth with facilities, timely administration of antenatal steroids, and magnesium sulfate. However, 1/3 of eligible women did not receive these interventions. This is according to the Embrace UK report on perinatal confidential inquiry, published in January 2021. They remained unidentified until they presented in advanced, extremely preterm labor. Therefore, early identification of twin pregnancies at risk of preterm birth is crucial. The James Lind Alliance Preterm Birth Priority Setting Partnership has prioritized research on identifying interventions in predicting and preventing preterm birth as one of their top 10 priorities for future research. This led me to embark on conducting 4 systematic reviews to identify the predictors of preterm birth in twins. So the aims and objectives of these systematic reviews were to assess the risk of preterm birth in twin pregnancies based on maternal clinical characteristics, based on biochemical predictors, based on the chorionicity of twin pregnancy, and also based on the method of conception. A 5-step process was employed when conducting these systematic reviews as described by Khan et al. For the first step, to frame the research question, for which I use the PICO format. For the systematic review on maternal clinical predictors of preterm birth in twin pregnancies, the research question that I aimed to answer was, what is the association between maternal clinical characteristics such as maternal age, BMI, race, parity, history of smoking, previous history of preterm birth, and preterm birth in twin pregnancies at gestations less than 34 and 37 weeks. For the second review, the research question was, what are the biochemical markers associated with a high risk of preterm birth in twin pregnancies, and what are their risk estimates? And for my third systematic review, I aim to identify the risk of preterm birth at gestations less than 28, 32, 34, and 37 weeks in monochorionic twin pregnancies and compare that to dichorionic twin pregnancies. And in my fourth review, the research question was, is there a significant difference in preterm birth rates between twin pregnancies conceived following artificial reproductive techniques such as IVF, ICSI, GIFT, ZIFT, to those conceived without assisted reproductive techniques with those conceived without assisted reproductive techniques. And I defined those as non-ART as those who have conceived either spontaneously or those who have conceived following ovulation induction or IUI. And I defined natural conception as those who have conceived without any medical treatment. So in the second step, to identify potentially relevant citations, publications, I did an electronic database search on Medline, Embase, Cochrane Library to identify potentially relevant citations without language restrictions. Then the electronic search was supplemented with a manual search of grey literature. And in assessing the study's qualities, I used the Newcastle-Ottawa scale. This scale is a star system based on 3 domains: selection of study groups, comparability of the groups, and ascertainment of outcomes of exposure. Based on predefined criteria, stars are allotted, and each study is categorized into low risk, medium, or high risk of bias. And I summarized the evidence by using meta-analysis, using the random effects model, and I presented all my data in odds ratios with 95% confidence intervals. In order to evaluate for heterogeneity, I use I-square statistics and meta-regression. And also, a sensitivity analysis and subgroup analysis were performed whenever it was applicable. Funnel plots were used to evaluate for small study effects when there were more than 10 studies available. And in order to do all these analyses, I used the software review manager. And finally, in interpreting the findings, I describe the strengths and weaknesses of the review. I use Egger's method to examine funnel plot asymmetry, and in order to ensure that the reporting was transparent and complete, the PRISMA model was used. So the first review on maternal clinical predictors of preterm birth. This is the first comprehensive systematic review to date, evaluating the association between maternal clinical characteristics and preterm birth in twin pregnancies. Following a 2-stage study selection, 59 studies involving 2,930,958 twin pregnancies were included in the systematic review. Quality assessment was done according to the Newcastle-Ottawa scale as described before, where majority of the studies were found to be low risk of bias for selection and outcome, while about 1/3 of the studies were low risk for comparability and 1/3 high risk for comparability. This table summarizes the results. You can see here the odds ratios, pooled odds ratios with their respective confidence intervals, and also boxed in red are the maternal clinical predictors that were significantly associated with preterm birth at the gestations given. I tried to make it easy for the audience by summarizing my results using a graphical abstract. Being young, less than 20 years. Being obese, with a BMI greater than 35. Being nulliparous, or being multiparous with a previous preterm birth, or having gestational diabetes increases the risk of early and late preterm birth. And being non-white or black in race, or smoking had a higher risk of early preterm birth, while hypertensive disorders in pregnancy was associated significantly with a high risk of late preterm birth. And among all these predictors, a previous history of preterm birth was the strongest predictor of preterm birth, including spontaneous preterm birth based on the sensitivity analysis. And this study was published in the European Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Next, my second review. This was aimed to assess the risk of spontaneous and iatrogenic preterm birth among twin pregnancies using biochemical markers. Through the study selection, I selected 33 studies, which included 6,077 twin pregnancies. Quality assessment was performed. Once again, majority of the studies were low risk for selection and outcome assessment, while the majority were medium risk of bias for comparability. This is the results table with the pooled odds ratios and the 95% confidence intervals. Once again, boxed in red are the biochemical predictors that were significantly associated with preterm birth at the gestations given. A sensitivity analysis was conducted for fetal fibronectin alone, looking at women asymptomatic for preterm birth as well as those symptomatic for preterm birth. Again, boxed in red are the gestations where there was a significant association with preterm birth. Once again, I have summarized the results in this visual abstract. You can see that a positive fetal fibronectin was significantly is associated with preterm birth less than 28, 32, 34, 37 weeks and delivery within 14 days of testing in asymptomatic and symptomatic women. And from the sensitivity analysis also, fetal fibronectin was significantly associated with preterm birth at the gestations given. While other hormonal, molecular and infectious markers showed higher odds of preterm birth at various gestational age thresholds. This review was published in the European Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Now moving on to the association between chorionicity and preterm birth in twin pregnancies. For those of you who don't know the difference between monochorionicity and dichorionicity, monochorionic twin pregnancies, the twins share one placenta, while in dichorionic twins, they have their own placenta and amniotic sacs. So I aim to look at the association between monochorionic and dichorionic twin pregnancies and preterm birth. Once again, the study selection process was a two-stage process. 39 studies were included involving 29,864 twin pregnancies. Quality assessment was done using the Newcastle-Ottawa scale. And again, majority of the studies were low risk for selection and outcome, while there was medium risk of bias for comparability. Here is the results table. The pooled odds ratios for preterm birth between monochorionic twin pregnancies and dichorionic twin pregnancies, and you can see that monochorionic twin pregnancies were significantly associated with preterm birth at all gestational ages assessed, evaluated. And for women asymptomatic for preterm birth as well, monochorionic twin pregnancies were significantly associated at these gestations, 34 and 37 weeks. I also did a sensitivity analysis looking at just spontaneous preterm birth, and once again, monochorionicity was significantly associated with preterm birth, as boxed in red. In this visual abstract, you will see that women asymptomatic and symptomatic for preterm birth, monochorionicity was significantly associated or was predictive of preterm birth at all gestational ages, For women asymptomatic for preterm birth, it was predictive of preterm birth at less than 34 and 37 weeks. And the sensitivity analysis for spontaneous preterm birth, as well as after excluding twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, also showed that monochorionicity was significantly associated with preterm birth at different gestational thresholds. This was published in the British Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology. And now moving on to my last systematic review. This was a systematic review that looked at compared outcomes between twin pregnancies conceived following assisted reproduction and those without assisted reproduction, as well as natural conception. And this looked at larger spectrum of outcomes, all maternal complications as well as neonatal complications. However, for the purpose of today's oration, I will be presenting the data related to preterm birth. So the study selection process included 111 studies involving 802,462 pregnancies. Quality assessment was done, and once again, majority of the studies were low risk for selection and outcome, low risk of bias, whilst about 1/3 was high risk of bias for comparability. Assisted reproductive techniques were significantly associated with preterm birth at less than 34 weeks and less than 37 weeks, as boxed in red. And this table shows us the pooled odds ratios with their respective confidence intervals. And when comparing assisted reproductive techniques with natural conception, once again, it was significantly associated with preterm birth at gestations less than 34 weeks and less than 37 weeks. So ART twin pregnancies compared to non-ART twin pregnancies and compared to natural conception showed a significant increase in preterm birth at less than 34 and less than 37 weeks, and an increased risk of spontaneous preterm birth at less than 34 weeks based on the sensitivity analysis. And once monochorionic twins were excluded, ART pregnancies still showed an increased risk of preterm birth at less than 37 weeks. And this was recently accepted for publication to Human Reproduction Update. So in summary, maternal clinical predictors, they are important in identifying twin pregnancies at high risk of preterm birth. Obstetric history is available to the obstetrician at the initial antenatal visit and does not require expensive resources. And the risk estimates can be used to counsel women early into their pregnancy regarding their risk of preterm birth. As for biochemical markers, fetal fibronectin is strongly associated with predicting preterm birth among women with twin pregnancies. Whilst other biomarkers have shown a positive association in predicting preterm birth, further studies are recommended to evaluate their role. We recommend the development of prediction models that will provide added value for the role of biomarkers in predicting preterm birth among twin pregnancies in the future. However, we must note that biochemical markers are expensive to test and not universally available. As for chorionicity, monochorionicity is significantly associated with preterm birth at all gestations in women who are both symptomatic and asymptomatic for preterm labor. And the early diagnosis of monochorionicity by sonography enables us to identify and counsel women regarding their inherently high risk of preterm birth. Also, women with twin pregnancies who have conceived following assisted reproductive techniques should be counseled regarding their risks of preterm birth, even when the pregnancy is apparently uncomplicated. The key message I want to convey through this oration is the utilization of predictive factors such as maternal clinical characteristics, biochemical markers, chorionicity, and the method of conception is crucial, with a notable advantage in resource-constrained environments such as Sri Lanka. These factors contribute significantly to the early identification of twin pregnancies at high risk of preterm birth, allowing for timely interventions and minimizing perinatal morbidity and mortality associated with prematurity. In concluding my oration, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all those who have played a role in my journey. Special thanks to my key co-authors, to my postgraduate trainers and mentors, to my family, who have stood by me through all my triumphs and tribulations. I would like to acknowledge the current president of the SLCOG, Professor Dodam Pahala, for the trust and faith bestowed upon me, the past presidents, council members, and the staff of the SLCOG. A sincere thanks to my SJGH family, my colleagues in the private sector, research assistants, and the cherished family of Dr. Nalin Rodrigo. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude my oration titled Prediction of Preterm Birth, a crucial step towards improving twin outcomes, I sincerely hope that I have done justice to the memory of this distinguished personality, Dr. Nalin Rodrigo. Thank you for attending this oration and for your patient listening.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And next I invite the senior most past president who is present here today, Dr. Anand Ranatunga, the president of the college, Professor Hemanta Dudampala, and the secretary of the college, honorary secretary of the college, Dr. Chandan Jayasundar, to hand over the certificate to Madam Shemoon Marleen. Thank you very much. And to conclude the Dr. J. Nalin Rodrigo Memorial Oration 2023, I cordially invite Honorary Secretary of the College, Dr. Chandana Jayasundran, to deliver the vote of thanks.
President Professor Hemanta Dudampala and our most senior past president Dr. J. Ranatunga, in absence of our patron, and all the past presidents and distinguished guests and family members of Dr. Nalin Rodrigo. It's a privilege for me to propose the vote of thanks for this prestigious Nalin Rodrigo oration. I think it was a very fruitful oration, well organized and well presented oration. So first of all, let me thank Professor Hemanta Dodampahala for gracing this occasion as the president. Being an esteemed academic himself and a professor in University of Colombo, he tried and I think achieved most of his targets during this year to uplift academic activities for the college and to promote all our members to be more academically oriented so that they will be more recognized in the international arena. So thank you very much, sir, for gracing the occasion. And in the absence of our patron, actually the patron, Dr. Professor Indri Jammer Singh was here, but we had our college day today, so we had some cricket matches and he was a little bit weak after heavy playing, I think, so he had to return early. So anyway, the vacuum is not there because we have our most senior next past president present with us, Dr. J. Ranatunga. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing this occasion. It's a real privilege that you are here with us. You have been here for a long time and you have seen the building of this college, and these orations had been, you have been there, so we are proud of you to be proud of to be seeing with you here. So I would like to thank Dr. Shemoon Marleen for presenting the oration today of this prestigious Nalin Rodrigo oration. I think it was a well prepared and well deserved oration. It was very comprehensive, but yet very simple, and for all of the audience, I think there is the message was very clear. So it was a well practiced and well done oration. Thank you, Dr. Shemoon, for your great work. I would like to thank the family members of late Dr. Nalin Rodrigo, Madam Chandrika, and the children. You have been coming for this oration for last all the years that I have been in this college. So it has been a great pleasure that you are here with us. Actually, to remember Dr. Nalin Rodrigo, we have great pillars in our college who have been trained by Dr. Nalin Rodrigo, and they are the generation that these pillars have developed are now in the college main places. So the legacy is continuing, and I think it will continue. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the family members. I would like to thank again the immediate past president, Dr. Professor Sanath Landrol, and the president-elect, Dr. Mangala Disanayaka, and all the council and the past presidents who are present here of the SLCOG. The SLCOG will always try to promote academic activities, and even in fact a new oration is also there now. So we will have more academic activities, and for the younger generation, this college is a pillar to hang on and achieve their targets, achieve their academic achievements in this for their future. And then I would like to thank all the distinguished invitees from other professions who attended this. I think there are from other specialities, and for even if it's not directly related to your field, you have graced this occasion, and you have supported us and supported Shemoon, in fact, especially. Thank you very much for coming and attending this occasion. And I'd like to thank all the other distinguished guests, our trainees, and the other invitees of Dr. Shemoon Marleen for gracing our this prestigious Nalin Rodrigo oration. I would like to thank also the audiovisual the personnel who helped us with the audiovisual management here. So it's not an easy task to coordinate these things and to run an event smoothly. So they have done a great job. There was no mishaps, and it was very well organized. So thank you very much for the audiovisual staff. And last but not least, I would like to thank our SLCOG Secretariat, the staff of the SLCOG. They are always there when an event like this is being organized. It's not easy. So we come here and sit and we go, but there are a lot of back-end services to be done. So they are always there helping us. So thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to have a team like you backing us in events like this. So I might have missed some people. I really won't apologize for that if it is the case, but I really thank you all for being in this precious Nalin Rodrigo oration, the last oration of the year, which we all look forward to. And you can join us with some refreshments at the ground floor before you leave. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you too, Honorary Secretary Dr. Chandran Jayasundara. And ladies and gentlemen, I kindly request all of you to rise as the procession leaves the hall. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Once again, on behalf of the college and the Oration, I cordially invite all of you to join us at the ground floor for dinner and fellowship. I'm Roshan Latif, wishing you all a pleasant evening.